Good morning. Welcome to another edition of the Astro Weather. I am Robert Phoenix, and we are in a new month. We are in November, the 11th month, the sacred 11. Of course, we'll at some point have 11 23 23, 11 22 23. What else would be an interesting number? Well, 11 2. 11 2 would be kind of interesting. So anyway, we don't have a 13th month, so we can't go into the 13th numerological high strange or goodness. But how is everybody today? How'd you like the new opener? I decided to try something a little more upbeat, a little more kind of snappy, got a little bit of rhythm in there. Got a little pad underneath, a little ambient pad underneath. What do you think? Did you like that? Did you like the other one better? I kind of like the other one. Like, it was very ambient, but this one's got a little bit of a snap crackle pop to it. Let's see. We got my man DJ MC. There she is. Third eye activated 24/7. The lovely and talented one, Dr. Joan S. My man, Mr. Glue, Tomas Jordan. There's Ryan. Ryan, the head of the Introspective Woodworkers Union of the World. Miss Nikki's here. Brandon Lee's here. SL Sully's here. Scuba Kella's here. Brittany Maddox is here. Kelly and kids, they're here. Maya Rose in the house. Jill Wong. Hey, Jill. Good to see you. Lunchbox 81. We got a crew misbehaving too. There's my man, Mark S. Had a great chat with him yesterday. Terry Catterley. Hello, Terry, Renee, and Scrubbies plus Thor at the door. We are present and account for, we cannot forget. Finca Feliz. Finca Feliz. Also known as Lynn. No, the kids aren't here, just you again. All right. Okay, what do I want to do? Oh, business. Please do not forget to hit the like button. And I had some revelations last night. I was going through the email, and there were people who are subscribing to the channel who I know have subscribed in the past, which means you were being unsubscribed. What a rotten fucking thing to do. I'm sorry. It's just rotten. It's underhanded. Could you imagine if all businesses operated like that? Could you imagine that? You know what that's like? It's like when you're at the grocery market and you go to the checkout and just not even before you get there, like you've got your items on the conveyor belt, and then they shut the check stand down. And you're like, what the fuck? And you got to pick up all of your items, put them back in your cart, and then go find another check stand. And then they may do it again. That's what it's like. It's as a business practice, I can't even wrap my head around it as a tool to control growth. Well, it's dastardly, but I understand it from that point of view. It's just dastardly. My God. And this is, the country at one point in time was built on best practices. Yeah, I know. You think I'm smoking my lawn that I just told somebody to get off of, but it's true. The country was built on best practices. One of the things that we've been doing as we get ready to move into the new place is that we've been using local businesses, and they're a little bit more, but you get to hear their stories about how they grew their business. And it's like they have more invested. They have more invested in what they're doing because they're not disassociated, and they don't have some other overarching agenda. to essentially minimize somebody's presence on YouTube. It's just weird, but it's not. Fran says, I remember the good old days. The here, I don't know where to do this, but I want to put your comment up here, Marge. As an IT professional, I find people's faith in technology amusing. It's only as good as the people that are managing the technology, right? Technology has issues, just like anything, but it's only as good as the people that manage it. Let's see, Guru on the roof. Good morning. Good morning, Guru on the roof. Good to see you. Welcome. Let's see, who else do we have? Oh, Leela's here. I didn't know Leela was a fan of Porcupine Tree. I love Porcupine Tree. Steven Wilson, the front man, the genius behind Porcupine Tree, is a Scorpio. And when you listen to his music, you understand. I remember playing Porcupine Tree for my ex-wife, and she couldn't listen to it. Like, this is too dark. This is too dark. Why do you listen to this? Because it's good shit. That's why. Janine's in the house. Christine and Janine, they're here as well. All right, let's get into the Astro Weather. The world is getting fucking crazy. Well, it's always been crazy, but it's getting crazier. God. Masaki sent me a video by Glenn Beck. Glenn Beck just did this video. I'm going to play it on 15 minutes. You're going to want your vomit bucket nearby. That's all I'm going to say for now. None of this stuff, did it work? I programmed the show last night, and some of it did not take. That really sucks. Let me see if this is hold on. There we go. All right. It did take there. But I'm using a new template. Let me do this. There we go. That's better. All right. Let's look at the weather, shall we? All right. Here we go. And first of all, thank you, everybody, for your support. And if you do want to buy me a cup of coffee, there is a link there in the description of the show. And I want to thank everybody that has bought me a cup of coffee or multiple cups of coffee. Well, here you go. Here's your Astro Weather for today. It's a lot like yesterday, only a little bit different. Sorry. It's interesting. There's a comment from, I wish I could have copied it. There's a comment from yesterday's show, and the commenter, let me see if I can just find the comment. I want to do this person justice. Let me just do it justice. It's a good comment. So this is from yesterday's show, and there's a reason why I wrote it or reading it. This is GGD 9606. Thank you on discussion of Mercury Scorpio. I have retrograde Mercury Scorpio with a tendency to not be self-serving, especially at work. But today I initiated action to protect my position. And I thought that was a really interesting comment, particularly given the fact that we're in Mercury and Scorpio territory and it's getting closer to Ceres. And what is Ceres related to? It's related to nurturing. And it's a very interesting, we played with this idea of the mother scorpion with all her little baby scorpions on her back, which would be the image of uh, Ceres and Scorpio. But it's an interesting discussion to have. So what are you nurturing? What is the call to nurture through a time of darkness? Here's what this is just crossing my mind, you know. I remember reading stories about people who would take small doses of a particular type of venom. Let's say it's a snake venom, or let's say it's the venom from a black widow. And over time, the body would create antibodies for the venom on its own. You didn't need any antivenom. And if and when the moment struck where the individual was bitten by a black widow or was bitten by, let's say, a cobra or something like that, or rattlesnake, that it would not be deadly, that the body had already assimilated the 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 toxins that would cause it to go into paralysis, shock, and in some cases even death. So when I think of Ceres in Scorpio, that's what I think of. I think of microdosing on the things that potentially could kill you. I know it sounds weird, but that's what I think of. And especially now because um, Ceres in Scorpio is just at the cusp of the third and the first decam because of the degrees, right? And that's Pisces, which is drugs, hallucinogens, and Cancer, which is home remedies. It's an interesting position. So when we think about kind of a more palatable version of this, we have things like homeopathy and naturopathy, but really homeopathy. Like you're taking the thing that is supposed to make you sick, but you're taking something that allows you to assimilate it. And I remember back in the day, I was going through a real intense issue around my body and vertigo. And it was interesting because the homeopath that I saw actually prescribed uh, rattlesnake. So you can actually get rattlesnake as a homeopathic remedy. And I don't know why she prescribed that, but again, this is a, uh solid material. So, and I'm not saying everybody should go out and start taking rattlesnake venom. Okay, I'm not really saying that, but it's there. It's available in the homeopathic world, but it's also a metaphor, right? It's a metaphor, and a lot of people are kind of on the verge of being black pilled. I mean, you don't have to be black pilled all at once, right? That would be like the cobra venom or the widow venom. But if you take a little bit each day, then what it does is it builds up your immunity to the big black pill, right? Because we're really entering into a black pill period. Like the faith in institutions, the faith in government, which is an institution, sometimes other people. It's really front and center now. And then what could happen is that people could be gutted, like existentially gutted, and looking around and going, "Oh my God, look what's going on here." This is going to be like COVID times 100. I'm telling you. So I see Ceres here as being just black pilled a little bit at a time, right? Just taking a little bit of the darkness that you can assimilate. You don't have to run away from it. You can't run away from it in Scorpio season. It's impossible. We're swimming in it, right? But just take a little bit at a time so that when you get to the point where the bottom falls out and everybody else around you just can't believe what they're seeing, you're kind of already there. And some of you are already there, which is why you're probably here. But this also impacts other people and what you share with other people. So instead of kind of opening up the war chest, right, and just giving people everything that's in there, I guess that's the right metaphor. Give them a little bit at a time, just a little bit at a time. Don't over because we're this is a period where we're waking up through darkness. It seems like it's been going on for a long time, but in Scorpio season, it's really, really prevalent. So this is a very interesting conjunction here with Ceres right on that cusp of. I guess we can say now at 1951, it is in the Cancerian decan, right? It is, and that in and of itself can be a bit challenging because if you're living in a situation where the people around you don't have the same tacit understanding of things, it can be a little bit lonely, right? It can be a little bit lonely. The other thing I would say here is, again, this is, I think of this aspect as, especially in cancers, this is a prepper aspect. What do you need? What could you add to your list that helps you get through a period of time, which I think we all need, whether it's a natural disaster. The Ceres in Scorpio third decan makes that pretty clear. Well, you might need this, or you might need this. You might need something. You might need a box of candles. It could be as simple as that. You might need a box of candles, the big candles. If you can get them in honey or wax, whatever, even better, right? It could be that simple. So at the end of the day, if the lights go out, you've got, and we're coming into winter here. Remember, this is a very Ceres Scorpio Cancer winter watch. Heat, light, all the things that get us through this theoretical dark phase, dark time. And Mercury's there to understand it, not to turn away from it. We're coming up. It'll be about 13 days, I think, before. Well, let's at 5, because Mars moves. I think it's November 14th. Sun Mars conjunction. We'll address that as it gets closer. Here we go. We have Mercury moving in opposition to Uranus. It's already there, 5 degrees. Look for more splitting the atom, right? Splitting the atom, the divide and conquer, and it's going to be very clear now who's on whose side. We have a new social global demarcator, and it's the new war, which again is the people that were against the war in Ukraine. Now all of a sudden they're for the war in Israel, right? Do you see how everything gets fragmented, and it just keeps getting more fractal and fractal and fractal and fractal, right? And I'm going to play this video, Glenn Beck, on 15 minutes. It's embarrassing. And the problem with the video isn't because Glenn Beck gets on his knees and wants to polish the knob, but the problem with the video is that there are content creators, particularly Jason Whitlock, whom I enjoy watching, who works for Glenn Beck. And this is this time now, right, where things are really binary. Like you don't get to hang out in the gray zone with Scorpio. You don't. It's black or white, and you have to figure out, okay, am I gonna buy in here? Am I going to support this guy or this person based on the fact that they take a paycheck from this guy who is sending out a message that is so, in my estimation, so weak and contemptible? You're going to have to watch 15 minutes in order to see it. So weak and contemptible that it is a statement about the person who's taking the money. You know what I mean? We're in this very weird time now where it's going to be very clear who's on team A and who's on team B. And I guarantee you, in the media, you're going to see a lot of people on team A, or let's call it team B. You're not going to see a lot of people on team B because it's not politically expedient and it can and will kill careers. So here we go. And I don't know what kind of discussions people are having in private around this, again, division that's starting to take place around this so-called war. I don't really know, because my circle of people that I talk with, I don't have any conflict with in terms of the big picture. So there's nothing that, we have to go through and dissect ideologically. And in a lot of ways, that's by design on my part. I learned a long time ago that it's much easier to have conversations with people you can have a conversation with versus somebody who reflexively goes into the other position. And then you have to use a combination of KY jelly and a jackhammer for them to get over their position. It's a waste of time. Learned a long time ago. Move on. Right. But I'm wondering what some of the discussions are in places that I don't have contact with. Here in the Hill Country, people are quite conservative. And it's interesting. We have a winery down the road called Mandelbaum Winery. And it's actually a really nice building. It's a very nice building. And they have a big banner out in front of the building. We firmly stand with the people of Israel. Of course you do. I haven't seen anything else here in the Hill Country. But this is where we are right now, right? And people are going to say fucking shocking things. The closer Mercury gets in opposition to Uranus, you will be shocked. You will be shocked with what comes out of people's mouths. Be like, whoa, he said that? They said that? It's unavoidable. And maybe even in your own life, you might be putting your foot in the mouth a little bit. That's the nature of Mercury and Scorpio. It's like Mercury and Scorpio is this, deep channel that cannot help itself in some ways. It must at some point say something truthful, even if it is inadvertent. They're like, whoa, where did that come from? Right? So be prepared to shock and be shocked. Chiron is entering into the fray here as well, right? And it is in the quincunx, the inconjunct, and there's a lot of sensitivity connected to this. A lot of sensitivity, like people that you thought, well, they can handle the truth. Oh, just wait. Okay, can we have a do-over? Can you give me a mulligan on that? Again, if you ever want to speak your truth, always ask if somebody is willing to hear it. It's the most simple thing in the world. Always ask, would you like my feedback? Do you want to hear what I have to say about that? And then if they say yes, then you have a contract. If you just start sharing your wisdom, no matter how well-intentioned, the other person, if they have not agreed to it, it will bounce off of them like a rubber sandwich, right? That's one of the keys to interpersonal communication. And I would today, tomorrow, all the way up through the weekend, I would be very clear about that. Now, Mars is also there in conjunct Chiron as well. And boy, that is to me, that's a tricky one. I mean, big picture stuff, it's related to guns, murder, Mars and Scorpio. But I'll take it out of that context for just a minute. And I'll throw this in there for you. What are you capable of? How do you stretch the limits of what you think you're capable of? I think if you wanted to engage in some kind of training, physical training, this would be a really, really good time. If you are somebody who has had a fear of something that can aid you with self-defense, something that has a loud bang, this might be an interesting time for you to explore what that's like. And maybe you might want to sharpen up on those skills with a Mars in conjunct Chiron, especially in Aries. We're in the Grand Trine territory, and today Venus is getting closer to Pluto, and it's trining Uranus, which we talked about yesterday. Yesterday was in a tighter trine with Uranus, but it's still there. So we have this grand Earth trine, and it is really about, in a lot of ways, selective companionship. You have to sort through, because Uranus is coming into that opposition more with Neptune, which we talked about yesterday. You have to sort through who is kind of on your team, right? And there are going to be people with the Neptune Venus opposition who will let you down. They'll let you down. They're like, oh, geez, I really thought. And that goes for people out there, right? Because once we go into Scorpio, we're in the collective. We're in sort of the world where it's not just about us. It's about what else is going on out there. So, to me, it's like this gets into Jason Whitlock territory. It's like, really, Jason, you're gonna go in this direction? But if you kill your heroes, then nobody can ever let you down, right? So if you've got anything or anybody out there, hey, we're all human. We're all human. Now, sometimes with the Venus Neptune opposition, you can invoke some degree of forgiveness, right? Especially if the person that might have let you down is aware of it. If they cop to it, right? It's like, hey, I'd let you down. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have been as irrational, or I shouldn't have put you in that bucket or that box. You can actually build on something like that with this Venus Pluto square trine and Venus Uranus trine. It's like, okay, I get it. I get your sincerity. I get your intent. Let's move on. That is in the cards, or that's in the stars. You can have that experience. So it's not like, oh, okay, well, I have to throw the baby out with the bathwater. But that's only if the person that you're dealing with is conscious and aware and is able to address whatever kind of, I would say, misgivings, or I'll even use the word betrayal, that they have wittingly or unwittingly participated in. And look, we're in a time right now where people and their character is going to be tested, because there's, when we deal with Taurus, right? Taurus represents the first chakra for me, zodiacally. Now, it doesn't always go in order. Scorpio is the second chakra. So you have eighth house, second house. So when we get into Taurus, and especially with Uranus, and especially with Jupiter retrograde, people are dealing with issues of survival. Real survival. You got people out there that are living on the thinnest margins of their credit cards. I was watching this video yesterday about how much people make for their car payments. Some people are making $1,300 a month fucking car payments, which I don't understand at all. Right? So you have a bunch of people that are really stressed and spread very thin. And when people are dropped into survival mode, they make really different choices, and not always the best ones. They're making them out of fear. So that's in the air, right? When we have Uranus and Taurus retrograde, Jupiter Taurus retrograde, people are really looking at their bottom line, their pocketbook. I was watching this video yesterday, and it's this guy, Joe Smith, who used to play with the Golden State Warriors, a bunch of other teams. The guy made $60 million over the course of his NBA career. And he's got this wife who did a video where she was telling him that she's going to be doing her fans only channel, right? Fans only. And he's having an issue with it. And then she basically says, "Hey, look, you knew who I was when you met me." And I think she was probably a stripper. Why is she putting together a fans only channel if the guy was worth or made $60 million in the NBA? There's only two reasons that she was doing that. One is that maybe the lifestyle has become a bit more austere, or two, she wants the attention. But that, to me, this is what happens when we get into this desperate space. It reminds me of the Weimar Republic. And if you look back on the last 3 years, 4 years, you can see how sex work has been promoted as a side hustle, right? This is what happens when people are desperate. They do a fans only channel, or they set up an escort service, or they become an escort. Yeah, I've seen it. So people, we're moving down. Like we are moving down Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which I talked about on Sunday night show. And a lot of it has to do with Uranus and Taurus, which is in its detriment, right? Uranus and Taurus. Uranus and Scorpio is exalted, detriment, de-evolution. De-evolution. Saturn's about to go direct. So here we go, right? All the retrograde Saturn, which has been, if you've been dealing with things like addiction, whether it's media, whether it's food, whatever, right? The retrograde Saturn has been good for you. It's been good for you. It's been good for me, right? I've been looking at my diet, my lifestyle, cut back, cut back, cut back. So here it goes. It's getting ready to go direct, and then you can put and implement changes in your life with Saturn at 0 Pisces, which I think in Pisces, it's all encompassing because Pisces is the last sign. It's not just, well, I'm going to form new habits and patterns around my spiritual life, or new habits and patterns forming around being functionally creative on a day-to-day level. Pisces is the last sign and encompasses everything. So when you have a restart at 0 Pisces, you can check every box of the zodiac and then make it a holistic attempt at resetting everything. Everything. So these are exciting times. They're not easy times by any stretch. Today we've got the moon in square with Venus and square with Neptune. Whew, that's an interesting one because that's deciphering the meaning of what people have to say. They may say one thing. Now I know the moon isn't Mercury, but in Gemini it's about communication. The moon in Gemini, people with moon in Gemini need to communicate their feelings. People with moon in the third house need to communicate their feelings. So today it's hard to sort through, well, what do you really mean? What do you really mean? What are you really saying? And with the moon Neptune square, especially early in the day or later in the night, wherever you are, the moon Neptune square is tricky. Tricky. Watch out. Here's what I'm going to say about this. Watch out for people who need something from you, especially money. Okay? Especially money. Wait until the moon moves into Cancer, which will be later tonight and then tomorrow, to make any decision around lending anything. Okay? Even your tools, whatever, right? Don't be quick to jump in and say, "Oh, here, let me help. Let me give you this." Or, "Hey, I can lend you this." No, 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 no. Just wait. Wait. Because when that moon goes into Cancer, what you'll have if you do it, when the moon goes into Cancer, you'll have second thoughts. You'll have doubts. Like, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that." The moon in Cancer will be a much better augur for that sort of transaction. All right, let's look at our True Hemp Science Star of the day. Maybe I should have like a little theme for this. I'm getting very ambitious because I'm creating, right? Created a new intro. I have a new template. If you ain't creating your, I got to come up with a little phrase for that. All right. Today's True Ham Science star of the day is Gary Player. Now, let's talk about True Ham Science first and foremost. When we talk about CBD and we talk about how CBD is created, right? It starts off in a plant form. It is then synthesized, and all the best alkaloids are drawn into the elixir that you're putting into your body. That is an alchemical operation. What Chris does, what anybody else with CBD does, is they are engaged in a form of alchemy. They're taking a solid and they're turning it into a liquid. That is alchemy. One source to another. And November in Scorpio really is the sign of alchemy. Scorpio represents magic, and we're talking about body magic. So go to triumscience.com and check out their offerings. And if you spend $100 or more, type in 15MINS, and you will get a free goodie bag with little eyedroppers of their different elixirs. You'll probably get some gummies. You get a nice little assortment of things included with your order. You spend $150 or more, you get free shipping, and there's always a 30-day money-back guarantee. Okay, so of course there's always people that kind of compete for my attention during the star of the day. One of the people that I thought about and looked at was Larry Flint. He's a Scorpio. And I thought, I don't see Larry Flint as a culture hero. A lot of people, oh, Larry Flint, man, a champion of free fucking speech. Larry Flint was a pervert. Okay, he was a pervert. And there was a time when I was young, like most young men during the 70s, that there was always a copy of Penthouse or Playboy or or Hustler, which is what Larry Flint was the publisher of. But that was just part of the program at the time. I was born Neptune and Scorpio. Hello, right? But that said, there are better heroes for free speech than Larry Flint. So I didn't choose him. Gary Player is the star of the day. And let me tell you why I chose. First of all, who is Gary Player? Some of you may not know who he is. Gary Player is one of the great golfers of all time. He was born in Johannesburg, South Africa. And one of the things that set Gary Player apart from all the other players on the tour was his attire. Gary Player always dressed in black. And he did it because of the Vietnam War, because he was really starting to get, his cleats beneath him during that time. But Gary Player played golf for a very long time, and he never gave up his black attire. He had a white hat, but he never gave up the black attire. As he got older, he went to a black hat. And the reason why I picked him was because of that. When we see his chart, he's got his sun on the ascendant in Scorpio. So he's a double Scorpio. And so he's the personification of darkness in a lot of ways, right? He's going to don black. Black is a scorpionic color. It also is this color of Saturn, right? I guess black and red, if you want to combine them, can be Scorpio. But black is certainly a fitting attire for a golfer. And it's not just the golfing part. It was the statement. He's making a statement about the war. He was mourning the loss of life and a number of other things, right? But not only does he have darkness on the ascendant, he's got it on the midheaven. He's got Pluto, for crying out loud, conjuncting his midheaven. Pluto, the ruler of Scorpio. Darkness, darkness, darkness. My old friend. That's Gary Player. And he went about playing in an incredibly methodical fashion. He was not one of these guys that was given to outbursts of, joy. But when he did, it was pretty serious, right? Now the other thing too is of course, he's born in South Africa, and this is the South Node, which is in the ninth house. And I don't know where Gary Player makes his home now, but he made most of his money playing abroad. And what's interesting is that I was as a kid, I followed sports, all sports. I used to watch golf with my grandfather, who used to fall asleep watching golf. And I always used to marvel at the track of the tiny ball once it was shot off the tee. Like, how the fuck do they do that? How do they follow that little thing all the way down to when it hits the green and starts rolling, or the rough and starts rolling? I always marveled at that. But Player was dealing with apartheid, and I don't remember anybody at that time calling him out for being. Maybe it's because he wore black and was kind of this. I wouldn't call him counterculture, but he was definitely this kind of iconoclastic figure on the PGA Tour. I don't want to think that it was a virtue signal to indemnify him from apartheid. I think it's just who he is based on his chart. But that South Node in the ninth house is definitely interesting, right? Like, because he is abroad a lot. So I don't know where he eventually moved. I think it's probably the United States. But let's look down here. He's got Mars, Moon, and the true node in Capricorn. And I was going through his bio last night a little bit. This guy's got fucking longevity, right? He played golf for a very long time, an extremely long time. And Mars in Capricorn is, has endurance, right? So this guy is built on endurance. He's got Sun sextile Mars. And I was looking some of his, here, let me see if I can find this for you guys. This really gets into his like, he's still playing. The guy's like, he's pushing 90. He's 88 years old. He's 5'6". He's not very big. But let me show you his strength and conditioning program. Here, these are some images that you can. Here's where I love astrology, because you can see that Mars in Capricorn, that commitment to longevity. And he starts weight training at a very early age. Very early age. And he's still weight training, right? There he is. And he's got tips on longevity and living a long, healthy life, right? Here it is. Gary Player shares the secrets to a successful life. This guy is a freaking success. Gary Player, the talks. So he's somebody who's figured out. There he is with one of the cups. Here he is again as a young dude, right? It reminds me of when I was steadfast and getting stronger. So weightlifting, weight training, and getting strong, and having a long, you can see the black branding, right? Pluto, Saturn, right? Pluto. Look, he's still fucking playing. The best 85-year-old golfer ever. This is Mars in Capricorn. This is the true node in Capricorn. Here he is right here. Naked play to promote fitness, the Boston Globe. You can see the chart just getting played out in this guy's life. He lifts weights to this day. He's a competitive golfer. Really interesting character. There he is again to this day. staying in shape with the world's most traveled athlete. Very interesting guy. And it's that Plutonian intensity that he goes at living life with, right? With Sun on the ascendant, Pluto on the 10th house cusp, or in the 10th house. Gary Player, your true hemp science, staying in the game, staying strong, being authentic, star of the day. There you go. All right, I got to go. I got to jam. How about Mars and Virgo? My husband. Let's see here. Let's throw this up here. My husband, weight trainer, has a master's in nutrition. Mars and Virgo is good. It's good. It does. So Virgo is mutable. So Mars and Virgo has to train differently than Mars and Capricorn. It just does. Mars and Virgo should be doing things like stretching, low impact. You don't with the mutable signs. You don't want to work too hard. You just don't. You don't want to work too hard. With Mars and Capricorn, which has endurance and is a cardinal sign, right? It has a different energy. We should do that. Shot his age many times. Yes, right? Isn't that interesting? Gary Player, fascinating character. Okay, I got a jam. I'll be over on 15 minutes. Here's somebody. Hold on. The men in my life have all played. I don't mind walking the course once in a while, but I absolutely suck. I am Mars and Virgo and have a fascination in nutrition. You should. That's your bailiwick. That's your bailiwick. Cerise, my McMahon. That's your bailiwick. All right, I'm out of here. Thanks for being here. Use your head in order to discern what's real, your heart to say what's possible. Don't forget to hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe if you have been unsubscribed, and click the bell to be reminded that this show happens every day here. Well, Tuesday through Thursday at 8 a.m., Friday, roughly about 11 a.m. on Friday. Great guest this Friday. Since we're approaching winter, it's my man, Russ Winter. He'll be checking in with us. Take good care, and bye for now.